Hi, I'm Helen Fox. Welcome to Fox Tutoring's YouTube channel, where we go over everything related to AP English exams, IB English exams, and a lot more. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button for more content coming your way. Okay, let's go ahead and jump in. First, I want to go over the basics of the AP Lang and Comp exam. So this year, it's going to be held on May 9th, 2023 at 8 a.m. local time. The full exam is 3 hours and 15 minutes. First section of the exam is multiple choice. So you will have 45 questions. You'll have an hour to answer them. Then you will also have the second section, which is 2 hours and 15 minutes. That section includes the 3 free responses. So question 1 is the synthesis essay, question 2 is the rhetorical analysis, and question 3 is the argument essay. Today, we're going to focus on understanding the definition of rhetoric and understanding the rhetorical situation and what that means. We're also going to understand how the rhetorical situation applies to the AP Lang exam. First, what is rhetoric? Well, rhetoric is the art of effective, persuasive speaking and writing, especially using figures of speech such as rhetorical devices and other compositional techniques to create persuasive speaking, writing, etc. When we're talking about being persuasive, or what persuasion means, that means that you're trying to convince somebody to agree with you, you're trying to get them to believe something, to act on something, to do something, to understand something better. So many of the texts that the AP Lang test puts on the exam for the rhetorical analysis essay, they are going to be rhetorically based. So that means they're going to be persuasive. It's really important that you understand this as a student taking the exam, that these texts are non-fiction and they're meant to persuade. So, why does this matter for the AP Lang exam exactly? Well, it's because the test is evaluating how well you can, number one, analyze rhetoric. How well can you analyze the text, the writing, the speaking, and then how well can you use rhetoric yourself in your essays, in your writing? So we can get into this in another video on how exactly to do this to score higher. So how does this connect to the rubric, i.e., how are you actually being scored on the rhetorical situation? On each essay, on every essay, all 3 of them, there is a sophistication point. And this point is only awarded to you if you can demonstrate sophistication of thought and or complex understanding of the rhetorical situation. See this right here. This is actually on the sophistication point. More specific parts of the sophistication point include analyzing and explaining the significance and relevance of the writer's rhetorical choices, also explaining the purpose or function of the passage's tensions and complexities, and also employing a style that's consistently vivid and persuasive. And that's where employing rhetoric yourself comes in. So we're not going to get into each one of these specifically, but remember that this scoring criteria is the same for each essay, the main scoring criteria. The notes are a little bit different, but the main scoring criteria is the same. What is the rhetorical situation? Well, the rhetorical situation has several elements to it, and you can see here depicted in this picture, you have the author, you have the text itself, you have the purpose, the audience, and the setting. This is one way we can characterize the rhetorical situation. I like this picture because you can kind of see his purpose is to demand racial equality, but there's lots of other elements to the rhetorical situation that are going on here. How is the text interacting with the context of the situation in which it is given? So it's an interaction back and forth between the two, and you have to kind of think critically about all of these different components. So let's get a little bit more specific here with what I like to use for students when we're actually looking at the rhetorical situation. What do you actually want to identify in the exam for the rhetorical analysis essay? I tell students that I think it's really important that you identify the context, which they usually give you in the little blurb above the actual text. So you want to identify author, date, location, and background information. Anything you also might know about that time period, about that author, etc. You want to think about the audience. Who is the likely audience? Who is sitting there listening? Who is going to maybe tune in to that speaker on TV, or if it's in the past, who is going to maybe be listening to them in a different situation? Who is the intended audience? Who does that author want to reach? And also, who is that author reaching that maybe disagrees with that author, disagrees with that speaker? Maybe they don't support them. A lot of these texts for the rhetorical analysis essay are politically based. So you need to be thinking about who supports the speaker and who also maybe disagrees with them. Who's a hater? Who is one of the speaker's haters? Who might be disagreeing with that speaker, and how might the speaker's message impact that group that disagrees with them? Also, you have the purpose. Why did the author write it in the first place? Are they trying to inform, analyze, research, understand, argue? Why did the speaker create this? What is their intention behind it? The message is information, or the statement, the universal message, like similar to a theme that the author wants the audience to understand or take away from the text. This is going to be something that is almost like similar to a thematic statement, like a universal message or lesson. And that's what we want to be thinking about for the message. How does this apply to the actual exam? What should you actually do when you sit down to the exam and apply this to the rhetorical analysis essay? This is the 2021 AP Lang exam, and this is Obama's speech about honoring Rosa Parks in the National Statuary Hall with one of her statues. The context, the author, date, location, and historical background. So this was in 2013. Obama is the speaker. It was in the Capitol building to honor Rosa Parks. We have a couple other important factors, such as the civil rights movement in the past, and also maybe how this is influencing current movements such as Black Lives Matter or even Obama's presidency. We have the audience. Who is the author addressing? Could be people who are against these movements or against Obama's presidency. Also people who support him, or even people at the event as well. Why did Obama write it? And sometimes we'll have multiple purposes, right? He wanted to dedicate the statue, and he might have wanted to persuade antagonists to support him and support what he's doing, at least in honoring Rosa Parks. Then we also have the message. What is that message that the author wishes to convey to the audience? One of Obama's messages here is that everyone can promote change through small actions. So if you're struggling to get to the message like this, one of the tips I have that I call broader context topics. So these are kind of like thematic ideas, such as in fiction, you might have thematic ideas, but here I kind of call them broader context topics. And you want to think about what kind of broader context topics is Obama thinking about, writing about here. So we have change, freedom, equality, and racial equality. And then what you can ask yourself is, what is Obama trying to convey through these broader topics? He's trying to convey that everyone can promote change through small actions. Okay, that wraps up our video for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know if you found that helpful down in the comments below, and if there's anything else you'd like for me to go over. Don't forget that you can find that 2021 exam down in this description box below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.